All right, guys, so the next quick instructable I want to kind of throw at you guys is how to mount this. I see all these iterations of tillers, and they're all commonly in the wrong position, or they're just not right. So you'll notice that my arm is kind of swung out off to the edge. If you kind of look at this, you'll notice there's the center line of the engine. Sorry about the noise, but there's the center line of the engine here. And notice how I actually turn this going down the gunnels. So as it kind of snakes itself around, your hand's going to be right here positioned. So I typically do that because, you know, most outboards, the stick's going to go right to your back. You can't control it that way. At least in my opinion, it's not a good way to do it. These here, again, the question comes up, what about this, the U-joint? You always want this facing up 90 degrees, so when you rotate, throttle, and then of course as you move back and forth, you want this to rotate and give you a clean sweep. Now I cut my tillers back. You'll notice this one's cut back about 6 inches because the sweep of left to right is a lot shorter and allows me to grab the stick and not have to swing it too far back. Otherwise you're fighting the controls on this. So I leave my original kill switch on here, which I do recommend, and I plug in the engine harness into the front, which I run at my seat. Eventually I'm going to put this in another box, but for now it sits right here. I do run all the standardized stuff on here. Another thing I will mention is right here, you need to find a way to lasso this around, because I've already had this come off the boat numerous times when I first got into kayaking, and yeah, it's not pretty. I also put a hatch in the back of the K-craft, which is here, because there's nothing back there, and if you want to access the inside of that, it's not happening. I also put online, believe it or not, a ski rope. This is used to tow skiers, but I use it as a kind of like a first aid device for other people, because sometimes people just can't paddle anymore, or something happens and they lose their paddle. So I run this actually goes around the engine in the back, goes out about, I don't know, about 10 feet on a pulley, and allows me to hook up to a bow line up in the front of whatever the kayak is or canoe. I've already had to use it multiple times, but I leave it back there just in case I have to pull somebody, you know, because it's not pretty being out there and you can't get back in. So as far as the geometry of the mount, I don't usually add anything to it because the cups back here sit quite well. It mounts back in here. It's always wise to have some type of plastic on there so you don't get any kind of noise vibration. I typically run stuff on the opposite side, like a little piece of PVC or something, but it's not necessary. And of course your mount system remains all the same here. I run it all, and this is a shortened system unlike the larger ones. That's pretty much it for the K-craft. Pretty standard outside of my tweaks. There you go.